So, as you know, in a sand casting process, the molten metal is poured into a cavity, and after it has been poured into a cavity, it solidifies and takes the shape of the cavity, right, to form the end product. So, the cavity is actually the impression of the end product which we need to make. And sand casting, as you all might know, is one of the oldest form of method of manufacturing products. So let us go ahead and have a look at some of the advantages and limitations. So first we'll have a look at the advantages. So the first major advantage is that thin sections and complex shapes are possible with sand casting. And why is it possible? It is possible because your the metal is in a liquid state, right? So you're pouring the metal, right? So when it is in liquid state, it can, easily go into thin sections and complex shapes. It can occupy that space. Uh, and that is the reason why thin sections and complex shapes are possible. And the tooling required is simple and inexpensive. So compared to some other manufacturing process, the tooling that is required for sand casting is comparatively very simple and inexpensive, and this is highly adaptable for mass production. So we can use this thing for both low production as well as mass production, because the tooling costs are tooling is simple and inexpensive. It can also be used for small scale production, so there is no problem with it. And this process can easily be adaptable for mass production. And another very important point is that the size and weight of the product is not a limitation. So if you see some of the process, for example, if you consider the turning process, right? Turning process is limited to your cylindrical object because it needs to be rotated in a lathe, right? And similarly, when it comes to machining um, processes, so what happens is that your workpiece, it needs to be rigidly held and clamped, right? So that the uh, tool forces do not distort it. Because if there is distortion, the machining will not be very good. The surface finish will be bad, right? So there are certain limitation, and in that case, what happens is if the workpiece is very bulky and it's very huge, fixturing of that workpiece or holding it in a proper position becomes a challenge, right? So in some manufacturing processes, we have limitation with respect to size and weight, but those limitations are not means they are not present in this sand casting process. So these were some of the advantages of the sand casting process, and now we'll look at the limitations. So the first major limitation of the sand casting process is that it will give you a poor surface finish. So the surface finish from a sand casting process is never good, and you will definitely need subsequent machining operations to get a good surface finish. So that is one of the major limitations. Although presently there are some casting operations which will provide you an improved surface finish. So there are operations like die casting, investment casting, which will give you better surface finish compared to the sand casting thing. But the thing with them, but even these, die casting and investment casting, they also have their limitations. Like for example, in die casting, the mold is made of hardened steels, right? So the metals which can be casted in that should be such that they melt at a temperature which is much lower than the melting point of the hardened steel, because otherwise what will happen, the mold material itself will melt, and you won't get a good casting. So that is the limitation when it comes to die casting. But die casting is generally used for materials like aluminum, zinc, and so on. And the another limitation for this is that it's a labor intensive process. So you need means lot of labor for making this mold, pouring the metal in the mold and all. So it's a labor intensive process. So that's about the advantages and limitations of the sand casting process. So now let us go and see what are the different parts of a mold, right? So the first two parts are known as the cope and the drag. Okay, so the cope is the top half of the mold, while the drag, as shown in this figure, is the bottom half. So the mold is always made in two halves, which are joined at the parting line. So this line, which at the interface of cope and drag, is known as the parting line. And then we have the pouring cup, or it is more specifically known as pouring basin. So this pouring cup is over here, right? So this is where you pour the molten metal into the mold. So it's a funnel shaped cavity where the molten metal is poured into the mold. And then we have the sprue. So sprue connects the pouring cup with the runner, and it controls the flow of molten metal. So the this this straight path from this pouring cup, this is known as the sprue, and this horizontal part which is connected to the sprue is known as the runner. So this sprue, it connects the pouring cup with this runner, and the most important point is that it controls the flow of the molten metal. So the flow of the molten metal when it is poured, the job of the sprue is to uh, uh, control the flow so that there is not much turbulence in the flow of the liquid metal, because what happens is that if when there is a greater amount of turbulence in the flow of the molten metal, there is a chance that gases may get entrapped in the liquid metal. So hence we must the flow must be smooth, and the control of flow is also done by this sprue. And next we have the runner. So this runner connects the sprue to the gate. So gate is the entry part to the mold. So over here, this part over here where it enters this cavity of the mold is known as the gate, and this uh, the length of the part from the gate to the sprue is the runner. So the gate over here is just a simple, you can say, an entry. But when the mold is huge, we may have multiple entry points. So in those cases, there will be a path which will connect all the entry points together, and that combined path will be connected to the runner. So in that case, all the entry parts, all the entry points, and the path connecting the all the entry points is known as the gating system. And then we have the core. So core is used to create cavities in the mold. So as you can see, this is the core over here. So for example, here we say, for example, here a hollow feature is needed. So we place a core over here so that the molten metal won't occupy this region, and it will just surround this thing, so surround the core, so that we get a hollow shaped cavity over here. So core is used when there is need to create any internal cavity in the mold. And riser. So riser acts as a storage for of molten metal. So you can see the riser over here, right? So what happens is that when you pour the metal, so some molten metal will there will be some excess of molten metal which will be stored in this riser. And why this what is exactly the function of the riser, we'll just see about it in the subsequent slide. So let's have an overview of the sand casting process. So in the first process, we have the mold preparation thing. So in the mold preparation, what is done is like the cores which are necessary for the internal for creating the internal features, as well as the pattern. So these are the things that are made. So actually, I think I've not spoken about pattern. So let me just go to the previous slide. So as you can see over here, we have this cavity, right? So to make this cavity, we need a replica of the product that is being cast, right? So the replica of the product that is being cast is known as the pattern. So this pattern making is done during this mold preparation thing. And what is done is, like, after the pattern is made, the pattern is actually kept in the molding box, and then the molding sand is put all around the pattern. So that would actually, make that impression your of the final product. And then after the preparation, after the cores and the mold, after the core is made and the pattern is made, they are put together, and the sand is added, it is compacted, and then the mold is prepared. So after mold is prepared, along we mold is prepared, then it is ready for the pouring of molten metal. So the metal is also melted, and while melting the metal, the molten metal is refined. So it is refined to remove the gases, because if gases are present, it would lead to a defect called gas porosity in the final cast product. So this molten metal is poured into the mold, and after the molten metal is poured, it is allowed to solidify. And once the solidification is done, the mold is removed. That is, the sand part of the mold is removed, and then the casting is cleaned. And after cleaning the casting, finally the finishing operation is done.